Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the third episode of the story in which Naruto almost dies at Final Valley, but fate still wants him to live. The Shinigami takes an interest in Naruto and makes him its first summoner. Watch Naruto as he shows the world what it's like to summon the Death God. This story comes from Kyubigoku. Make certain to support him, her. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Haruno Clan Area. Clan leader family home, have a seat Sakura. Mabuki directed her daughter as they entered their living room. We have much to talk about. Sakura looked curiously at her mother as she sat down and observed Mabuki bustling around the living room/kitchen that made up their house. Most people would expect a clan head's house to be ostentatious and grand, but the Haruno clan had only been on the rise in the last 20 years, so they had kept much of their humble origins. Oh, there was a fancy house for formal dining and parties, but the Haruno clan kept a regular family atmosphere for the most part, which Sakura was quite glad about. "Dear? What's the problem?" A male voice called as Sakura's father, Haruno Kazashi, walked into the room. With dull pink hair cut into the shape of a cherry blossom, it was obvious where his daughter inherited her bright pink hair from. The Haruno clan came this close to becoming ruined because of that foolish girl Asuka. Mabuki told him, her voice shaking from stress and anger, "Sit down with Sakura and I'll fill you in." Kazashi looked over at Sakura and smiled. "How are you doing, little blossom?" he asked. "Otosan." Sakura groaned at her father's nickname for her, coined by him when she was only 2. He chuckled as he sat next to her and ruffled her hair, making Sakura pout at being treated like a kid. "All right then," he said, becoming serious as he turned to his wife, "What has Asuka done now?" Mabuki launched into a blow-by-blow account of the various sins and crimes of one Haruno Asuka, with Sakura chiming in with the occasional detail that her mother had either neglected to mention or forgotten about in her agitation. "That stupid girl," Kazashi said in dismay as he shook his head slowly. "If young Naruto hadn't offered that compromise, the Shinobi clans would have torn us to pieces financially." "Why? Why would the Shinobi clans interfere?" Sakura asked curiously. "This isn't confirmed, but there have been rumors that Uzumaki Naruto isn't just named in honor of the extinct Uzumaki clan, but is an actual blood member of the Uzumaki clan." Mabuki replied. "There was an Uzumaki clan?" Sakura asked in surprise. "I've read my history books from cover to cover, and there isn't a single mention of them, ever." Kazashi frowned. "That is odd." "Well, the Shodame Hokage, Senju Hashirama, married a member of the Uzumaki clan, Uzumaki Mito, in order to cement an alliance between Konohagakure and Yuzushiogakure, the home village of the Uzumaki clan. The spiral symbol of the Uzumaki clan was adopted into the symbol of Konoha and is worn by Chunin and Jonin level ninja." Mabuki added, "The loyalty of the Uzumaki was legendary, just as legendary as their skills at the art of Fuinjutsu. Even now, many years after the destruction of Yuzushiogakure, their inability to betray either family or an ally is spoken of in awe. Because of their loyalty, they came to our aid during the First Great Shinobi War without needing to be asked." Kazashi continued, "They aided all of the Shinobi clans in one way or another, which leads us to why Asuka would have ruined us if Naruto-san had not offered this deal. The clan Shinobi of Konoha owes the Uzumaki much, and regretted being unable to aid them during the surprise attack that destroyed them, so they do what they can to aid Naruto-san if something like what Asuka did happens. Several high-ranking civilians have found that their business ventures were decidedly shaky without support from the major clans and were vulnerable due to clan Shinobi refusing to take missions to guard or escort their properties." Mabuki said quietly, "We can thank all our ancestors that the boy still has a crush on you, otherwise we would have gone the same route. He might not like me like that anymore." Sakura admitted sadly, "Usually he asks me out at least once a day, but he hasn't asked me out in about 2 days." Her parents exchanged looks before turning back to her. "Sakura, while I know you would prefer not to be the sole bearer of the conditions Naruto-san has determined, the fact remains that you are." Kizashi said carefully, as your father, I must ask you to bear with it until you graduate. Okay, Otosan. Sakura nodded before sighing, I guess I'd better put together some studying materials for tomorrow. Naruto's grades are only slightly better than Inuzuka Kiba's. Kizashi waited until the sound of Sakura's footsteps had faded away before turning to his wife and saying quietly, she looked quite sad at the thought of not being pursued by the boy anymore. He strokes her ego and assures her that she's attractive. Mabuki replied quietly, from what I hear, the Uchiha boy ignores practically everyone, especially his fangirls, to the point of rudeness. Combined with Sakura's insecurity towards her physical appearance, it's of little surprise that she is insecure without some way of affirming that she is pretty. I dislike the sound of Uchiha Sasuke. Kizashi said with a frown, Sakura deserves someone who will treat her like a princess, not like an inconvenience. To be fair to the boy, he has an entire academy full of girls, civilian and shinobi, throwing themselves at him. Mabuki pointed out, that would try the patience of a stone, let alone a pre-adolescent boy who had his entire clan massacred by his elder brother. I know, but that kind of excuse can't hold out for everything. Kizashi said slightly impatiently, most people would try and reach out, create new bonds to replace those they had lost, at least after a while. Sasuke? He rejects bonds with others, from everything Sakura has told me, plus what little I've seen of the boy myself, because he fears that those bonds will be used against him or taken from him like his brother did to his parents. He has little to nothing to hold him here. Mabuki didn't question her husband's conclusion. He was a retired lifetime genin, who had charmed his way into her heart with his quick and ready humor and devotion to her. When Sakura had been born, he had retired from active duty. He had been missed because of his skill at reading people. While not as sharp as a fully trained member of ANBUTNI, he could make a snap judgment about someone, which usually turned out to be right for one reason or another. Sakura thinks that she can break through to him. Mabuki said quietly. She can't. Kizashi shook his head, the boy has to make the first step himself, otherwise he will never truly recover. True. Mabuki sighed, what do you think about Sakura tutoring Naruto-san? I knew Yondaima-sama. Kizashi said quietly, if he believed his work would hold against that monster, then I see no reason to be worried. Besides, now that Sakura can't diet, she'll finally be able to train properly. I own Naruto-san for that if nothing else. Mabuki nodded slightly. Her husband had tried to convince Sakura about eating properly, but she had been more stubborn about that than she had been about anything else. Well, at least now that she was legally barred from cutting back on the amount of food she ate, it was a non-issue now. We will just have to wait and see. Mabuki said as she stood up to get dinner ready. The next day, lunchtime final year classroom, Konohagakure Shinobi Academy, Hay Forehead. Ino called as she slid onto the seat next to Sakura, who was eating a bento, given up on dieting. Sasuke-kun's all mine then. Pig. Sakura growled, I've been forbidden to diet by Naruto-baka. This made the platinum blonde girl blink. Why the heck should you give a crap what Naruto tells you to do? Sakura sighed. Because, pig, one of my clan's women has been harassing Naruto for 5 years, vandalizing his property and stuff. She was caught a few days ago and Naruto was given the choice of what punishment the Haruno clan was to be given yesterday. And did he ban you from dieting? Ino asked in confusion. No, he made me his tutor until graduation and banned me from dieting. Sakura growled before finishing the bento. Pretty light punishment. Ino commented, Daddy's told me that one clan harassing another has serious consequences most of the time. Cousin Isuka was the only member of our clan who had anything to do with it. Sakura replied, none of the rest of us had any idea what she was up to, which was why Hokage-sama didn't add any additional punishments on the clan, at Naruto-baka's insistence. He has it bad for you, forehead, the Yamanaka heiress commented. You should snap him up while I take Sasuke-kun. TCH. Yeah right, Inapig. Sakura snorted. Shinaro. Like I'm gonna let you take Sasuke-kun from me, pig. Cha, Sakura's inner personality roared defiantly. Sitting a few rows behind them, one Hyuga Hinata glared at the back of Sakura's head. She had a crush the size of Hai no Kuni on Naruto and would give anything to have him be even half as attentive to her as he was to Sakura, and that pink-haired hussy was scorning him. One day, the shy girl vowed, one day, I will be brave enough to stand by Naruto-kun's side as he becomes Hokage, and you too will gnash your teeth at the lost opportunity. Yes, she was shy, but she was also more than slightly contemptuous of fangirl Kunoichi. Her mother hadn't been a shinobi, but she had spoken to Hinata of how those who never took their duties and training as Kunoichi seriously caused the deaths of their teammates. Hinata was jerked from her thoughts as she spotted her blonde-haired crush walking back into the classroom, making her face flush red as she drank in his new look. He had been good-looking in the orange jumpsuit, but looked even better in his new outfit of black shirts and black/gray trousers. Naruto-kun, she whispered as she looked at him. With Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto was unsure what to think at this point. The previous day, he had been able to help his crush, Sakura, by deflecting most of the backlash of her cousin's actions and stopping her from dieting. Okay, so he had also manipulated things so he could spend more time with her and raise his grades, but hey, he needed all the advantages he could get to get Sakura-kun as his girlfriend. No way did he want to be friend-zoned. The main problem was that he had scoured the guide from top to bottom and he couldn't find anything to do with romance. Typical really. The guide to living one's life as a video game, and they skip one of the most important things. Still, he supposed there wasn't really much point at this time. His relationship with Sakura was only a few hundred points short of neutral, so maybe it was waiting for him to move his reputation with Sakura-kun to at least friendly. Status, he whispered, bringing up the screen that displayed his stats. Name, Uzumaki Naruto class, the gamer level, 5 next level, 98% title, academy student, plus 25% EXP to LV10, age, 12 HP, 700/700 CP, 700/700 STR, 18, 5, STA, 38, 5, plus 10, DX, 14, 5, INT, 15, plus 5, WAS, 15 LUK. Looking at his stats, Naruto had to wince. He was heavily biased towards his STA. How he managed to get such a high stamina is beyond his comprehension, but it would be helpful for training in the future. His next target for training, Naruto decided, would be his DX. He had been neglecting it as of late, and it would never do to become unbalanced. Besides of which, it would let him level up his Shuriken Jutsu and Hiko Yashin fast draw technique skills. Most people dismissed Shuriken Jutsu as merely being useful for distraction, but Naruto wasn't too sure about that. His Gigi had told him about a shuriken clone technique he had invented that he used to literally shred his enemies to pieces, so the blonde boy was certain that his skill with thrown weapons shouldn't be neglected. As lunchtime ended and Iruka Sensei started yet another boring lecture, this time about the second great shinobi war, Naruto kept one ear open while allowing the rest of his mind to wander. He was planning what to serve Sakura-kun when she came over to tutor him after the academy was over when he heard his name called. Naruto, could you tell the class what the Nidaime Hokage's ninjutsu specialty was? Mizuki called, a barely hidden sneer on his face. Unfortunately, for Mizuki, Naruto had studied up on the abilities of the 4 Hokage, so this question was easy for him. Nidaime-sama specialized in using Suiton ninjutsu. Naruto replied with a smirk. Very good. Mizuki said, surprised at the dead last's knowledge. Now, what was his favorite weapon? The Raijin no Ken, Thunder God's sword. Naruto answered promptly. Well done, Naruto. Irika nodded. Next, Choji. What was Sandaime-sama's age when he became Hokage for the first time? Naruto automatically tuned out the rotund boy's response as he turned his attention to the window that had popped up as he had answered the last question. You have proven your knowledge. +1 whis. He had to smirk slightly as he closed the window. The boredom of book learning hadn't prevented him from memorizing all of the special traits and equipment of the previous leaders of the village. Senju Hashirama's Mokutan, wood style, was fairly obvious, because he created the enormous forest around Konohagakure and even quite a few of the initial housing in the village proper, most of which still stood today. Senju Tobarama was infamous for possessing a frighteningly high water affinity, and his kenjutsu skills, combined with the Raijin no Ken, was very formidable. His Jiji, Sarutobi Hiruzen, didn't possess a Kekkei Genkai like the Shodame, nor did he have a specialty ninjutsu skill set like the Naidame. What the Sandame possessed was just as great, however, his sharp and strategic mind, as well as a determination to do what was best for the village. Legendary for mastering all non-Kekkei Genkai ninjutsu in Konoha, he was honored with the title of the Sandame Kami no Shinobi, third god of shinobi. The Yondame Hokage, Namikaze Minato, had only had his title for less than a decade before the day of the Kyubi, but his exploits on the battlefield during the Third Great Shinobi War were the stuff of legends, slaying over 200 Iwagakure shinobi using his two jutsu, the Hiraishin, Flying Thunder God, and the Rasengan, Spiraling Sphere, earning him the title of Konoha no Kiro Senko, Yellow Flash of the Leaf. Not much information was actually readily available about the Yondame for some reason. His sacrificial attack that defeated the giant fox demon was utterly unknown, but had raised the man to nigh godhood in Konoha. This made the dearth of information regarding the man and his jutsu strange, to say the least. Naruto had no idea what the Hiraishin or Rasengan were or what they did, and the only thing that was known about the man who had created them was that he had been the most talented prodigy in the history of Konohagakure. A couple of windows popped up, the first making Naruto's eye twitch. By organizing information neatly in your mind, you gain +1 int. Whoever Gaia is, he or she is definitely making fun of my intelligence. Naruto thought sourly before closing that window and reading the next one. Quest created. The fourth principle, there is not much information available about the legendary fourth Hokage, which you find irritating. Investigate and discover the details of at least one of the Yondame's jutsu, as well as at least one detail about the man himself. Quest completion reward, +600 EXP, 1 random jutsu scroll, +250 reputation with, ? Quest failure, +200 EXP except. Y/N, Naruto frowned as he read the quest description. It was odd that the quests that were created were so random. None of them seemed to have a unifying theme other than, Naruto go do this and you'll get this, this and this. What the hell? Why not? Naruto hit the Y button, closing the window. He did want to know more about his hero, the Yondame, so this was a quest he would gladly take. The question was, where to look? The library was out, because the crabby old bat that was in charge of the place hated him and tossed him out as soon as he tried to walk in. The academy sensei were out as well, even Iruka sensei, as they clammed up as soon as he asked about the Yondame for some reason. Weird people. This left only one source of information regarding the Yondame that Naruto knew was unbiased regarding him, as well as highly likely to know about the jutsu and the man himself, his Jiji. He'd go and pay the man a visit after he'd finished his tutoring session with Sakurakin. It was the only thing to do. After classes end Naruto's apartment building. This is your new apartment building? Sakura asked dubiously. She obviously wasn't very impressed with it, judging by the expression on her face. Yeah, it's owned by Jiji. Naruto replied nonchalantly, I'm a high-profile target for vandalism, so the rest of the landlords refused to consider renting one of their places out to me, so Gigi bought this building for me. This was the cover story that he had been told to use when explaining the Hokage letting him use the former ANBU HQ entrance to those below the rank of Jonin. Naruto, show the Hokage some respect. Sakura scolded him as they entered the building, he is the leader of the village after all. You sound like Iruka-sensei. Naruto grumbled, I'll tell you the same thing I told him, I knew him as the man with the funny hat before I knew him as the Hokage. He's the closest thing I have to family, Sakura-kun. The Pinkette's expression softened. Sorry. I doubt most people in our class aren't orphans, so I keep forgetting. Naruto nodded. Most of Sakura's fellow civilian-born students in their class were either adopted or unaffected by the Kyuubi's attack 12 years previously. Most of the orphans had been older than them, like Higurashi Tenten. It's okay, Sakura-kun, just be more careful in future, he said with a smile. Fair enough. Sakura nodded, before she looked around the hall they were walking through. Ugh, this place needs a good clean. It's filthy. My apartment's clean as a whistle. Naruto told her, I'm planning on cleaning up the rest of the building once I get settled in. Gigi isn't charging me rent, so the least I can do is clean the place up and maintain it. Sakura was silent as they approached his room. Naruto couldn't even begin to guess what she was thinking about. Mentally shrugging, he led his crush into his home. Ojama shimasu. Sakura muttered as she entered Naruto's house for the first time. Peering around, she made an odd humming noise as she took in the rooms. I'm surprised that the place isn't full of empty ramen packets, she commented. Oi. It's only been a day since I moved in. Naruto grumbled good-naturedly, give me some time and it will be a mess. Oh no you don't. Sakura countered, putting her hands on her hips and glaring at the blonde boy purposefully, I will not be subjected to a mess every time I come over. Either you keep this place spick and span, or you come over to my house to study. Pick. I was joking, Sakura-kun. Naruto sighed, I couldn't keep my last place clean, because people kept breaking in and messing it up, so I'm out of practice with the whole tidying up business. I will do my best though. Do you want a drink? Sure. Sakura nodded, what do you have? Water, iced tea, barley tea, fruit juice and sencha. Naruto recited. Iced tea please. Sakura said as she sat at the table. Naruto fetched a pair of glasses and a new bottle of iced tea from the fridge and sat down opposite her, pouring them both a generous glassful of iced tea. Cheers. Naruto said as he sipped the drink. He hadn't tried iced tea before and found it odd, but pleasant. Now what exactly do you need help with? Sakura asked after sipping at her drink as well, I know your written test scores are slightly higher than Kiba's. I've memorized everything in the textbooks to do with the Hokage. Naruto replied, the rest that I don't really see the point of knowing it. The code of shinobi conduct has been broken so many times that it's held together with duct tape and it's unrealistic. As for the history of the elemental nations? Interesting, but again, not something I can see as being absolutely vital to being a shinobi. What do you mean about the code? Sakura asked, every shinobi abides by it. Well, take the rule about showing no emotions. Naruto said thoughtfully, I mean, even shinobi are human, right? So saying we have to be emotionless golems is a bit much. All we have to do is keep our emotions from affecting us while we're on missions. And by missions, I mean ones that are crank and above, not dranks. Sakura was taken aback by the thought that the class dobe had put into something she had taken as an absolute. She quickly rallied however. I'll give you that one Naruto, but you still have to learn the rules in order to pass the written section of the Genin exam. Sakura reminded him, the history section is intertwined with the Hokage, so a little brushing up on the battles they were involved in should help you there as well. She looked around for a moment before asking, Can I use your bathroom first? Second door on the right once you leave the living room. Naruto told her. As she headed out, Naruto whispered, Observe, prompting a window to appear with her details on it, which Naruto quickly scanned. Name, Haruno Sakura Class, Brainiac Level, 7 Next Level, 55.25 Title, Academy Student, plus 25% EXP to LV10, Age, 12 HP, 550/550 CP, 250/250 STR, 10, 5, STA, 10, 5, DX, 25, INT, 45 WS, 40 LUK, 25 Status, Uchiha Fangirl, 25% to all EXP gain, 10% to Teamwork, Bookworm, plus 10% INT per level, plus 25% EXP for reading textbooks, Absolute Chakra Control, 50% CP cost for all Jutsu, Civilian Ancestry, 25 HP and CP less added during level up. Perks, Secondary Personality Eidetic Memory Honor Student Flaws, Malnourished Fangirl Mercurial Temper Insecurity Low Stamina Haruno Sakura is the clan heiress of the Haruno clan, a rising power among the civilian clans of Konohagakure. Although she possesses far more potential than the average civilian genin candidate, she squanders all this potential by chasing after the last Uchiha as one of his rabid fangirls. Dear Kami, Naruto muttered as he took in Sakura's stats. She had barely any STR or STA, although her INT and WAS were definitely very impressive. Her DX and LUK were so-so. The statuses were a mix of good and bad, but the only one that had to go was the Uchiha Fangirl status. The civilian ancestry status was something she had been born with, so he doubted anything could be done about that. The other two were definitely positive ones that he wasn't going to mess with. Frowning, Naruto touched the perk labeled Secondary Personality, prompting another window to pop up. Secondary Personality. You possess a secondary personality as a result of repressing your true feelings over a number of years. While this inert version of yourself often gives you bad advice, it also acts as the perfect defense against the mind-walking skills of the Yamanaka clan, as well as other mind-reading jutsu. Passively increases the chance of bad judgment calls by 20%. Passively increases resistance against genjutsu by 10%. Actively increases resistance against any mind-reading skill by 75%. This perk can be completely removed by fully accepting all of your repressed feelings, or partially removed by accepting a part of them. Naruto read the description of the perk with increasing incredulity. Sakura? Repressing her feelings? She certainly never had any trouble expressing when he had irritated her beyond her tolerance. Closing that window, he moved to the next one. Eidetic memory. You possess a very sharp memory, able to recall something after seeing it only briefly. While not as good as a photographic memory, it is still an amazing benefit to learning. Passively adds 10% extra EXP from learning from books or scrolls. Whenever you learn a skill from a scroll, you start off with 20% EXP in that skill. This perk can be lost if you receive critical brain damage. Sounds like Sakura-can alright. Naruto muttered to himself, moving to the next one. Honor Student. You are the teacher's favorite student due to your dedication to learning, perfect attendance and lack of rule breaking while in school hours. While enrolled in school, you gain an additional 10% EXP boost. As long as you maintain your good conduct and keep this perk, you are guaranteed to be top kunoichi. This perk is automatically lost after being assigned to a genin team after graduation. It can also be lost before then by either constantly rule breaking for a month, being absent without cause for a month straight, or your grades dropping by a significant amount in a short period of time. Naruto found himself nodding, right up until he read the bit about Sakura definitely becoming top kunoichi. This wasn't entirely unexpected, but he doubted Sakura would actually do any training if she got onto the team's team as long as she had the Uchiha Fangirl status. While he had started her down the path of being a real kunoichi rather than a fangirl kunoichi, it evidently hadn't been enough to break her of fangirling over the team. If he wanted to make sure she had a good chance of surviving to the rank of Chunin, he'd have to get rid of both the Uchiha fangirl status and the fangirl flaw. Hearing Sakura coming back, Naruto hurriedly closed the windows, but resolved to use his observe skill on her again so he could finish reading her stat page. Observe has leveled up. Ignoring the new window, Naruto beamed at Sakura as she came back into the living room. Ready to get started, Sakura-kun, he asked with a gesture at the books he had piled to one side of the table in preparation for the study session. We might as well, the Pinkette sighed, let's start with history today, as that seems to be an area that at least interests you somewhat. The next 2 hours were somewhat awkward for the two preteens, as this was the first time they had spent any time with each other without having their classmates around them. Sakura got by it by focusing on the material at hand, as well as thinking up ways to draw Naruto's interest to the subject matter by drawing his attention to the famous historical battles that the Hokage were involved in first, then adding in background information. It worked. Go figure that one. As he saw Sakura off with a wave and a smile, Naruto thought that these lessons might not be such a bad idea. His INT and WS had both gone up by 1 already, and that was just from the sheer volume of material he had read through. Just thinking about it made his brain throb from information overload. Deciding to stop thinking deep thoughts for the moment, Naruto decided to go read the observe data he had floating in front of him from using observe on Sakura before she turned the corner. Retreating to the living room, he pressed the flaw called fangirl, as he knew exactly what malnourished was doing to her. Fangirl, you are obsessed with an individual to the point that you think of little else but that person, driving your friends away and making the subject of your crush/obsession dislike you. A 10% reduction to teamwork. For every fangirl action taken in front of the subject of your crush, your reputation with that person is lowered by 50. This flaw can be lost by facing the truth of who the subject of your obsession is and what they are really like. Well, this explains why she stopped being friends with Ino. Naruto muttered aloud. He resolved to scan Ino and Sasuke the next day so he could get an accurate read of what the hell was going on with the three of them, before closing the second window and opening another. Mercurial temper, you are hot-headed with a hair-trigger temper. Either about certain things only or just in general. This makes people wary of you and reduces the likelihood of befriending them. Increased chance of losing your temper by 25%. Every instance of losing your temper will reduce your reputation with the person in question by 10. Reduces teamwork by 5%. This flaw can be removed by gaining control over your temper. Naruto had to wince slightly at this. He had been on the receiving end of Sakura's temper quite a bit over the last year or so, so it puzzled him as to why his reputation with her was as high as it was. Could all this only have started being applied to everyone when he received his gamer ability? Feeling his headache return, the blonde boy filed that under things to consider later and moved on to the next flaw. Insecurity, you have, as a result of bullying, a rather low sense of self-esteem. There is at least one thing about yourself that you are overly self-conscious about and you cover this up with a confident front. It also leaves you more vulnerable to peer pressure and going along with the crowd. Reduces, by 25%. Raises chances of being swept up in the latest fads by 35%. Raises chance of fancying the most popular boy around by 30%. Raises chance of losing temper when confronted by something you dislike about yourself by 25%. This flaw can be removed by gaining confidence in yourself, your abilities and your appearance. What the hell? Another mysterious stat? Naruto complained aloud, come on. Throw me a bone here. Grumbling to himself, he decided to do some research on these stats. Choji would know something about them, as he had been into them last year, although Naruto couldn't quite recall what the game had been called. Nodding to himself at his plan, Naruto pressed the last flaw. Low stamina, even for a civilian, you have low stamina. Running is hard work for you and you rarely do more than the minimum required exercise during physical education portions of your schooling. Your tiredness gauge fills up quicker. You receive 25 less HP per level up than normal. This flaw can be removed by training to increase your stamina to an acceptable level, the exact number depending on your occupation. For further information, please consult the guide under Stats for your world. This might be a problem. Naruto conceded glumly. Sakura hated getting hot and sweaty in case it made Sasuke hate her. Great. Just great. Not only would he have to first cure her insecurity and then break her fangirl flaw and stat, he'd have to somehow make her train herself up to be half-decent in combat. When it rains, it pours. Closing the windows, Naruto was lost in though for a moment before he remembered he had to go to the Hokage's office to see his Gigi. Grabbing his goggles, Naruto beat feet toward the tower. He had questions to ask. Hokage's office. Sarutobi was fighting through paperwork when Naruto sauntered into the room. Glad to have an excuse to get away, at least temporarily, from his mortal enemy, the Sandaime put the form he had just read, a request to turn some of the training fields into farmland, to one side. "Ah, Naruto-kun," he said warmly, "how was your first study session with Sakura-kun?" "I have a headache." Naruto pulled a face as he answered, "We covered almost all of the battles between Shoda Mesama and Uchiha Madara, both pre-Konoha and after its founding, as well as some of the battles during the First Great Shinobi War." "You have made some progress then?" Sarutobi suggested. "Yeah, but does learning things have to be so damn headache-inducing?" Naruto groused. "You aren't accustomed to absorbing that much information at once yet." Sarutobi informed his surrogate grandson, "In time, you will become used to it. Now, what can I do for you?" "I wanted to ask about Yondaime-sama." Naruto replied, "There's almost nothing in the textbooks about him, his jutsu or even what he was like as a person." Sarutobi frowned. "That shouldn't be right. The textbook should have some information. All it has is his name, the name of his jutsu, a list and description of the battles he was in and the numbers and ranks of the missions he was on." Naruto informed him. "I see. Well then, what would you like to know about?" Sarutobi asked as he mentally planned an investigation into the quality of the information being put into the textbooks. "Well, what the heck are his jutsu? The Rasengan and the Hiraishin?" Naruto asked. "Supposedly, those two jutsu let Yondaime-sama kill 200 shinobi in one battle, but it doesn't say how. The Hiraishin is a time/space ninjutsu that allows the user to teleport to any place that has a special jutsu jutsu formula nearby." Sarutobi explained, "Before the battle you are referring to happened, Minato seeded the area with his special Hiraishin kunai, as well as hundreds of copies of jutsu. Combined with the Rasengan, which is a sealless jutsu that creates a orb of chakra in the palm of the user's hand that grinds an opponent grievously, Minato was able to teleport all over the battlefield and kill those 200 shinobi before they knew what was happening, turning the tide in the war against Iwagakure." "Wow, that's just wow." Naruto was, for once, at a loss for words. "Yes, that was my reaction when Minato told me about his plan for the battle." Hiruzen smiled wryly. That battle cemented his reputation as Konoha's Yellow Flash, as he always disappeared and reappeared in a flash of yellow light whenever he used the Hiraishin, as well as cementing his worthiness to succeed me as Hokage. "Why?" Naruto asked intently. "Minato was a kind man," Sarutobi said with a soft smile as he thought back, very gentle and one who cared greatly, both for Konoha as a whole and for his fellow shinobi. He made that plan to use the Hiraishin on such an unprecedented scale because he wished to end the war quickly, before more of his comrades died in the fighting. He truly personified the will of fire, the code that we Konohagakure shinobi live by and gives us a strength beyond chakra, beyond mere jutsu. He was, without question, one of the greatest shinobi it has ever been my pleasure to meet, which made his death 12 years ago an even greater tragedy. Naruto nodded. I wish I could have met him. He sounds like an awesome person. Sarutobi's heart twisted at this coming from a person who looked so much like Minato, and was in fact his son. Forcing a grandfatherly smile onto his face, Sarutobi said, he was. Minato did have his faults though. He was terrible at naming jutsu, for example. The Hiraishin's original name was a convoluted thing that took about 2 minutes to say, the same applying to the Rasengan. He was also very dense when it came to the fairer sex. Something you seem to have inherited from him, Naruto-kun. The old man chuckled mentally, knowing that the Hyuga heiress was head over heels for him, yet he just thought she was weird. Truly, like father, like son. Huh. Naruto nodded again absently. Well, that answers my questions. Thanks, Gigi. No problem, my boy. Sarutobi replied with a negligent wave of his hand. Oh, by the way, the ANBU have rounded up all of the people responsible for both of the vandalism attacks on your apartment. They'll be imprisoned for 2 years and they'll each also pay 100,000 Ryo fine to you for damages caused and trauma suffered. I'll have the money given to you as soon as possible. I didn't suffer any trauma though, Gigi. Naruto pointed out, just irritation. Trauma.irritation.whatever. Sarutobi sniffed foxnoodily, making Naruto cackle at his Gigi pranking people legally. By the way. Gigi, do you know any training fields I could use? Naruto asked. The academy staff don't let me use the field next to it unless it's a detention and I don't want to have to get detention just to be able to train. Sarutobi frowned in thought. Sadly, it was academy policy to refuse any clan shinobi the use of the academy's training field outside of classes, as they usually left it a mess, especially the Akimichi and the Uchiha, so there was nothing he could do there. However. Yes, I believe I can help you there, Naruto-kun. The Hokage nodded. Training Field 13 is free due to it being overrun with chakra mutations. Chakra what now? Naruto asked in confusion. Chakra mutations. Sarutobi explained patiently, all living beings have a natural reservoir of chakra that provides the eternal vitality of life. Due to Konoha being a shinobi village, the air is suffused with stray chakra from the casual use of jutsu by the shinobi residents, in the training fields especially. When a field becomes oversaturated with chakra, it starts to affect the animals, warping them into larger and meaner versions of their original forms. When this occurs, we seal off the field and send in teams of chunin or even genin to eliminate the mutations, then allow the land to lie fallow for a year or so before reopening it. So you're going to let me use a field full of rabid monsters? Naruto asked in disbelief. Training Field 13 is fairly unique as it is divided up into various subsections by fences. Sarutobi replied, there are only so many mutations in each area. In addition, all of the so-called sub-areas within the training field hold weaker creatures the further out from the center of the field they are, so I would say you should be able to handle the first 3 sub-areas as you are right now. Cool. Naruto said with a grin, before he frowned. That I only have Academy Kunai. Those things can't cut worth a damn. Catch. Sarutobi said, tossing a small pouch of real kunai at Naruto, who caught them easily. You should return any of them that you don't use tomorrow. Alright? Arigato, Gigi. Naruto beamed, see you tomorrow then. With that, the walking ball of energy that was Uzumaki Naruto bounced out of the office, strapping the holster to his leg as he walked. That boy always makes me feel drained after he visits me. Sarutobi chuckled as he picked up the form he had been reading before Naruto turned up. Now what's this? Turn the training fields into farmland? Are they stupid? Denied. Not long afterwards, Training Field 13 entrance, Naruto stared up at the large gate that was the only way into the training field. It was rusted and looked like it could fall apart in a stiff breeze. Better tell Gigi about that. Naruto muttered before he remembered the windows that had popped up after he had ran from the Hokage's office. Congratulations. The fourth principal, quest completed. You have acquired one piece of information regarding the Hiraishin and the fourth Hokage. Quest reward, plus 600 EXP, random jutsu scroll, see inventory, plus 250 reputation with, question mark. Bonus objective completed, acquire a piece of information regarding both of the trademark jutsu of the Yondaime. Bonus objective reward, plus 200 EXP, basic Fuinjutsu, scroll. Nice. Naruto cheered. Wait, this means your level has gone up by 1. Level 5 to level 6. You have 5 attribute points to spend. Naruto knew exactly what he was going to do with the 5 new points. He opened up his status window and added all 5 points into DX, putting him up to 19. Satisfied with this, he then turned his attention to his inventory and pulled out the jutsu scroll he had received as a reward for the fourth principal quest. You have received the Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu, scroll. Do you wish to learn this? Y/N, alright. A jutsu for my Earth clones to use. Naruto cheered as he pushed the Y button, absorbing the scroll and learning the technique. Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu, active, LV1, Midnight EXP, the Earth style, rock section Kane Jutsu is a fairly simple technique. After making the correct hand signs, the user should pick up a stone or rock, which transforms it into a 1.5 meter long staff, which can be used in close combat or thrown at the enemy. At high levels, the user can create multiple staves simultaneously and assail their enemies with them. Hand signs, monkey rat snake number of staves created per use, 1 durability of each stave, 20 nice. Let's give it a test run. Naruto grinned as he ran through the 3 hand signs, Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu. He then picked up a rock that was coincidentally lying at the side of the path and was shocked at the speed at which it shot out to a full 1.5 meter long stone staff. Giving it an experimental twirl, Naruto noted absently that it was perfectly balanced. Observe, he said as he looked at the staff intently. Gensetsukan, a stone staff created by the Gensetsukan no Jutsu, it is moderately resilient to damage. Can be used as an improvised thrown weapon with an accuracy penalty, 5. Staff, limited durability points, LDP 20/20. What the heck is limited durability? Naruto pondered, then rolled his eyes as another window popped up. Limited durability, unlike with regular weapons, those created by chakra generally do not last very long. The time remaining for a weapon created via a jutsu is determined by its LDP. The higher the LDP is, the longer such weapons will last. LDP will decrease gradually over time and will fall sharply when used for combat purposes. Okay, well that answers that. Naruto muttered, next. He removed one of the kunai Sarutobi had given him and used, observe, on it. Standard kunai, a basic kunai used by the shinobi forces of Konohagakure no Sato. It is capable of being thrown and used in close combat with equal ease, although it is more suited to close combat than being thrown. Thrown weapon. LV5 thrown damage 9 close combat damage 12 durability, 40/40 nodding. Naruto slid the weapon back into his holster and re-examined the Gensetsukan, discovering it was down to 18 LDP already. Deciding that he would throw it at the first chakra mutation he saw, Naruto strode towards the gate into the training ground, only stopping when yet another window popped up. Field Dungeon, welcome to Training Ground 13, also known as the Forest of Silent Contemplation. This is your first time entering a field dungeon. Do you wish to receive a basic tutorial about field dungeons? Y/N, why not? Naruto shrugged, hitting Y almost lazily. Field Dungeon Tutorial, a field dungeon is one of the two main dungeon types. A dungeon is an area where you can encounter enemies via random encounters, as well as loot via enemy drops and treasure chests. Field dungeons are situated in open areas, such as light forests, grassland, and plains. Enemies include chakra mutations, bandits, and the occasional nuke-nin. Often a good location for beginners. Regular dungeons are situated within buildings, caves, heavy forests, and ruins. Powerful and ancient enemies can be found here, depending on the level of the dungeon. Do not enter a regular dungeon unless you are of the appropriate level. Every dungeon, field or regular, has a minimum level requirement before you can enter it. Training Field 13, Area 1, has the level requirement of LV 5+, so anyone who is level 5 or above can enter it. Area 2 is LV 6+, and Area 3 is LV 7+, so on and so forth. Field dungeons tend to have twisting paths that can be confusing, so a map is available in your inventory once you step into the dungeon so you can track your current location and where you have been. All field dungeons have a field boss. The exact circumstances upon which a field boss will appear can vary greatly. Sometimes you must defeat a specific enemy in order to make it appear. Other times it is by solving a puzzle or killing a set number of enemies. The most usual manner, however, is to reach the boss area. A field boss is the most powerful enemy in the maze and will often be difficult to defeat. If you defeat them, however, the prizes you receive will very much make up for all of the effort. Good luck. Naruto shook his head as his headache made a sudden resurgence at this deluge of information. He really needed to get used to this kind of thing soon, otherwise he'd have a headache all the time. Doing a last-minute check of his kunai and shuriken, Naruto decided to ignore the basic Fuinjutsu scroll, as he wouldn't be able to use it in the training ground. Let's get going, he declared aloud and walked over to the gate and reached out his hand to touch it, causing another window to pop open. Training Area 13, which area do you wish to enter? Area 1, LV 5+, Area 2, LV 6+, Area 3, LV 7+, Area 4, LV 8+, Area 5, LV 9+, Area 6, LV 10+, Area 7, LV 12+, Area 8, LV 13+, Area 9, LV 14+, Area 10, LV 15+, Area 11, LV 17+, Area 12, LV 18+, Area 13, LV 20+. So there were 13 areas in Training Ground 13, each being more difficult than the last, with the levels jumping slightly higher from Area 6 to Area 7, Area 10 to Area 11 and Area 12 to Area 13. These are the minimum required levels for the different areas. Naruto considered carefully. I think I'll want to be a couple of levels higher for anything above Area 6, just to be on the safe side. Putting the higher levels to one side, Naruto carefully pressed the button indicating Area 1 and waited. The window vanished and the rusty gate creaked open ominously, listing slightly now that it was open. Swallowing slightly, Naruto walked through the gate, stone staff held at the ready. As soon as he cleared the gate, it swung shut behind him with a metallic groan. I hate dramatic and ominous ambience. Naruto grumbled as he looked around. Area 1 seemed to be just a continuation of the landscape outside the fence, which wasn't really much of a surprise. Randomly picking a direction, Naruto started moving cautiously through the trees, keeping an eye out for enemies. He recalled that, thanks to his Benton's Blessing perk, he would have no shortage of enemy encounters, so he was first surprised, then irritated when 5 minutes passed without a single enemy showing up. He was getting a bit pissed at that point, when he spotted a chest partially concealed inside a hollow tree stump, which automatically made him suspicious. This situation positively screamed trap. Seeing no large clumps of undergrowth for any enemies to hide in nearby, Naruto was stumped as to how they could ambush him. Trapdoors, maybe? Shrugging, the blonde Shinobi in training decided to go the bold route this time. He walked straight up to the chest and was rewarded by a pair of windows popping up in front of him. Ambush. You have been ambushed from behind by 3 chakra-mutated squirrels. Which was immediately followed by another one. Bloodthirst detected. Immediately behind you. Naruto leapt into the air, somersaulting over his enemies, which were indeed squirrels, but not like any he had ever seen before. These ones were the size of house cats, their buck teeth sharpened to a point and their claws tearing furrows into the soft topsoil as they skidded to a halt. Landing on the ground, he looked at the titles floating above the mutated beasts' heads. LV4 Rabid Red Squirrel, so, 2 levels below him. An excellent chance to see how he stacked up compared to them. With a grin, Naruto spun the staff in his hands lazily before throwing at the nearest squirrel like a javelin, impaling it before the beast knew to dodge, making it shriek. The other 2 ignored their injured companion and immediately leapt to the attack. Naruto, however, hadn't been idle while the staff had been in midair. Hiko Yashin Shuriken Jutsu. Naruto muttered as he sent a handful of Academy Shuriken flying at the 2 squirrels. One dodged the throwing stars, but the other one took the full brunt of the barrage, slumping to the ground with 2 in its body and a 3rd in its eye. Swiftly drawing a kunai, Naruto neatly sidestepped the charging squirrel and stabbed it in the back of the head. Much to his surprise, the chakra mutant just snarled and swiped at his hand with its claws. "Let's try that again," Naruto said with a frown. He attacked this time, stabbing the kunai into the squirrel's neck, making the mutant die at last. He then noticed the 3 windows pop up over the corpses of the rabid red squirrels. Rabid Red Squirrel, defeated. You gain 40 EXP. After he closed the windows, the bodies of the squirrels dissolved into blue light, leaving behind dot stuff. When the tutorial had mentioned enemy drops regarding loot, Naruto had expected skins, teeth and the like. Instead, there were 3 neat piles of Ryo notes and a single scroll. Dumbfounded, Naruto picked up one of the notes and compared it to one he drew from his Gamakan wallet. The 2 were alike, with just enough differentiation between them to see that the one from the monster drop was freshly printed. Hurriedly picking up the notes, 500 Ryo, and putting them into Gamakan, he then turned his attention to the scroll. It turned out to be something called a crafting recipe for a spider silk underlay armor. Naruto didn't have the faintest idea what it was talking about, so he put the scroll in his inventory until he could figure out exactly what it was for. The chest contained a silver key called Grand Chest Key No. 1, which was not exactly what Naruto was hoping for. He had kind of wanted a sword or even some armor, but he reminded himself that this was just the first bite at the apple. Over the next half hour or so, Naruto discovered the theme of the area was to search out treasure chests, get ambushed by either rabid red squirrels or gnashing gray squirrels, the later of which were level 5 and were more dogged in their attack than their red counterparts, and then take the treasure. He didn't get any more recipes, just money, always welcome, and the occasional, cured squirrel fur, of which he wasn't certain what he was going to do with. The chests were a little better, but mostly contained keys for the grand chest, whatever that was, and a bit of extra cash. Currently, Naruto was sat down and taking a break, examining the map of the area as he did so. It looked hand-drawn, with the locations he had discovered chest marked with a star. Currently, he had 4 keys and the map showed that they were in a sort of square position, with 2 of them closer together than the other 2. Could a 5th one be here somewhere? Naruto mused aloud, pointing at a place located upwards and in the center of the 2 key locations furthest apart and across from one another. If one was in that area, that made a pentagram. Meaning that the grand chest might appear in the center somewhere, probably along with the field boss. Naruto checked himself over before heading out. Thus far, he hadn't lost much HP, just about 30 points to a surprise attack from a gnashing gray squirrel that popped up when he thought he'd dealt with all of them, and he'd already regenerated that health while resting, so he was good. He hadn't even had to use any of his jutsu, not since that first, Gensetsukan, but he knew he'd likely have to use jutsu against the field boss when it turned up. 5 minutes and 5 dead squirrels later, Naruto was removing a key from the last chest, along with a rather odd item to keep in a chest, the blue and white wrapped hilt of a tanto, with part of the blade still attached, but very obviously damaged. It looked like someone had smashed the blade with a hammer or something. Hilt of Toradora, the hilt of the tanto known as Toradora. The blade has been broken, but perhaps not beyond repair by a skilled smith. That was what his skill said about it. Naruto waited for a moment and, sure enough, a quest window popped up a couple of seconds later. Quest created. A broken blade can still cut, you have discovered the hilt and what little is left of a tanto called Toradora. Take it to your friend Tenten to see if it can be fixed. Accept? Y/N, Naruto stared at the window, slightly perplexed. This was odd. There was no quest succeed/quest failure notices listed. Shrugging, the blonde boy hit Y before placing the hilt and the last key in his inventory and heading to the center of the pentagram formed by the chest locations. This had better be worth it, he grumbled as he picked up a rock so he would be able to use Gensetsukan as soon as he spotted the field boss. Thus far, his Shuriken Jutsu, Hiko Yashin fast draw technique, and beginner's Heikage Taijutsu had all gone up by a couple of levels, so this time he would try and level up his Doton Ninjutsu. He really had to start trying to find some jutsu for his primary futon affinity though. Abruptly, the ground started to shake. Naruto yelped in surprise as he staggered against a nearby tree and looked around for the cause of the earthquake. A large tree erupted from beneath the ground, with an extra-large chakra-mutated squirrel clinging to the top of it, with a pair of gnashing gray squirrels at its flank. HUH.SO This is a field boss. Naruto mused as he looked up at the monster. It was the size of a Labrador, twice the size of the gnashing gray squirrels. It had burnt orange fur and you could see the rippling muscles beneath it. Naruto checked out the name floating above its head. LV7 Berserk Fox Squirrel, observe, Naruto whispered. Berserk Fox Squirrel. This beast was infected with a tiny dose of the chakra of the Kyubi no Kitsune during its attack 12 years ago and has grown to monstrous proportions. With no sense of self-preservation, it will attack innocent people until it is dead. Special status, Berserk, feel no pain, iron muscles. Special abilities, summon minions. Naruto paled as he read on. This thing was using the chakra of the demon fox. If it wasn't stopped, it could hurt people. Like him. He hurriedly examined the 4 unknown buttons. Berserk, passive/active, you are a fierce warrior, lost in a sea of rage and fury. You are granted enhanced strength, endurance and speed at the cost of your sanity and self-preservation instincts. Passively grants plus 15 STR. Passively grants plus 15 SPD. Passively grants plus 15 STA. Passively reduces INT by 15. Passively reduces DX by 10. Actively forces you to attack the nearest foe and attack it until it is dead. Actively reduces WS by 15. Costs 50 CP per minute. Feel no pain, passive, through either pure mental control or sheer rage, you are immune to pain and can tank the strongest of attacks without flinching. Passively raises STA by 30. Passively renders user immune to the sensation of physical pain. Iron muscles, passive, you have trained extensively, to the point that your muscles are so large and thick that they act as light armor when in combat, albeit to the detriment of your speed. Passively reduces speed by 10. Passively grants an armor value of 10 to all locations except the head. Passively increases STR by 15. Summon minions, active, letting loose a howl, you can summon subordinates to your aid. Actively summons forth either 2 to 3 rabid red squirrels, or 2 gnashing gray squirrels, to your aid. Cooldown, 3 minutes. Costs 30 CP to use. Naruto let loose a string of eloquent expletives at this information. He knew that a field boss would be hard, but throwing the chakra of the Kyubi no Kitsune into the mix apparently upped the difficulty level somewhat. Shit. Well, nothing to it but to do it. Naruto said determinedly as he ran through some hand signs, Doton, Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu. This time, rather than upchucking a rock, Naruto used the earth around him to form the rock clones, 10 of them altogether. Right as the last of them formed, the tree that the boss stood on stopped rising. The berserk fox squirrel let out a high-pitched shriek that set Naruto's teeth on edge and hurt his poor eardrums. 3 rabid red squirrels bounded from other trees and climbed up in front of the field boss, keening and chattering before they all glared at Naruto and his rock clones. Use the Gensetsukan no Jutsu. Naruto ordered swiftly, 5 of you keep the minions busy, the other 5 will be with me and attack the boss. Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu, was the only reply he heard, so Naruto hurriedly used it himself. It was interesting to note that the Iwa Bunshin didn't need a rock in their hands to use the rock section Kane Jutsu, which made sense as they were made of rock themselves. The boss snarled and the 5 minion squirrels leapt acrobatically to the attack, hopping down branches before launching themselves towards Naruto. 3 thrown Gensetsukan intercepted them, killing one and seriously injuring another, while the rest were forced to scramble to land and dodge the 2 Iwa Bunshin who hadn't thrown their staves. Meanwhile, the berserk fox squirrel wasn't sitting idle. It leapt straight towards Naruto from where it had clutched the top of the tree, a drop of what had to be at least 2 stories. Scatter. Naruto ordered his clones as he leapt to one side, smacking a nearby squirrel on the head with a swipe of his staff as he did so. The clones barely got out of the way before the Labrador's chakra mutant slammed onto the ground, kicking up a small dust cloud. Before Naruto or the clones could react, it screeched again and lashed out with its tail and claws, smashing 2 Iwa Bunshin in seconds. Kyuso. Naruto cursed, attack. Don't let it have the time to do anything but defend and dodge. He led by example, stabbing at the snarling monster with his staff, only to be surprised when the squirrel caught it in its teeth and bit down, shattering the stone like rotten wood. His Iwa Bunshin took advantage of Naruto's distraction to stab and smash at the field boss with their staves, while the original Naruto drew a pair of kunai and started slashing and stabbing with them, making the oversized squirrel scream in fury, although it didn't cease its attacks in the slightest. It took another half-hour to wear down the berserk fox squirrel. Naruto had to use the Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu at least 4 more times as the damn field boss kept summoning minions to try and overwhelm him and his Bunshin squad, wearing them down and making them crumble into piles of rocks. Not to mention draining his CP like crazy, but thankfully his CP seemed to regenerate fairly quickly. Now though, the large squirrel was clearly on its last legs, panting hard, with great rents in its fur and flesh, with blood pouring from its many wounds and from its right eye socket, which Naruto had taken out with a lucky throw of a shuriken. Will you just die already, you overgrown stuffed toy? Naruto shouted in frustration as yet another Iwa Bunshin crumbled into rock as a result of a rather strong bite. The berserk fox squirrel roared again as Naruto stabbed it in the side again. Then, an odd red chakra seemed to burst out of the body of the squirrel, covering it entirely and making it look even more feral than it had been previously. What the holy, one clone exclaimed, "Boss, this looks bad." "You think?" Naruto snarked back, less talking, more attacking. With a roar, the clones threw a barrage of Gensetsukan at the monster, but it moved much faster than before, dodging the stone staves with ease and launching a blistering counterattack. Naruto noted somewhat absently that the injuries suffered by the clones were like being gutted by a claw made of lava and decided that getting hit by that was not something he wanted to experience. So, when the last Iwa Bunshin crumbled to pieces, Naruto was quick to make another full set of clones, which used their staves as a temporary way of holding the rabid squirrel off while other clones attacked. Seeing it slump slightly, Naruto charged at the beast with a kunai drawn and ready. The field boss snarled again before staggering up to try and attack him. "Not gonna work." Naruto shouted, "You can't beat me." "You know why?" He avoided the rather feeble swipe of the claws and drove the kunai into the monster's neck right up to the hilt, causing blood to spurt from the now gaping maw of the beast. "Because I'm gonna be Hokage one day, Databayo." Naruto finished grimly, "So I can't lose to the likes of you." With one final ear-piercing scream, the field boss collapsed onto the ground with a loud thump, causing a loud chime to go off and a large window to appear in front of Naruto. Rabid Red Squirrel, X12 defeated. You gain 480 EXP. Gnashing Gray Squirrel, X8 defeated. You gain 360 EXP. Field Boss, Berserk Fox Squirrel, defeated. You gain 600 EXP. HP and CP fully restored. Yada. Naruto cheered, "Oh. What's this below that?" Beginner's Hokage Taijutsu has leveled up. LV4 LV5. As a result of repeated actions, the skill, Self-Taught Bojutsu, has been created. Self-Taught Bojutsu, passive/active, LV1, Midnight EXP, Bojutsu is the use of the Bua staff in combat. While most people use preset styles in order to fight with it, you have created a style all of your own. Nowhere near effective compared to a regular Bojutsu style, this will nevertheless keep you from tripping yourself up over your own feet while using a Bua. Passively raises STR by 1%. Passively raises DX by 2%. Actively raises damage dealt by any staff, weapon by 5%. Doton, IWA Bunshin no Jutsu, has leveled up. LV1 LV2. Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu, has leveled up. LV1 LV2. Shuriken Jutsu, has leveled up. LV5 LV6. Secondary Earth Affinity, has leveled up. LV1 LV2. I'm really getting stronger. Naruto muttered in awe, "Oh, right, better grab the loot." In addition to the usual Ryo and occasional, cured squirrel furs, Naruto picked up another, crafting recipe, this time for a squirrel fur vest, which explained why he kept getting these pesky furs. The big paycheck was found where the carcass of the Berserk Fox Squirrel had been. Not only was there a hefty chunk change, 3,000 Ryo, there was also a extra-large cured squirrel fur, as well as a Jutsu scroll. You have received the Futon, Kaden Shuriken no Jutsu scroll. Would you like to learn this? Y/N, at last. Naruto grinned and hit Y, letting the Jutsu scroll dissolve into blue light and sink into him. Futon, Kaden Shuriken no Jutsu, active, LV1, Midnight EXP, the wind style, rotating Shuriken Jutsu is a useful jutsu for increasing the effectiveness of your Shuriken Jutsu. By infusing a Shuriken with wind nature chakra, you increase its cutting power. Once a Shuriken has been infused, you can manipulate the Shuriken to attack your opponents remotely. Actively increases the damage of any infused bladed weapon by 10. Actively allows you to control the infused weapon up to 4 meters away. Hand signs, none. Number of weapons that can be infused and manipulated, 2. Costs 25 CP per weapon, per minute. Kick ASS. No damn hand signs. Naruto cheered, before looking around with a frown, now where's that damn grand chest thingy? As if waiting for him to ask that question, the tree that the field boss had made its entrance on split in two and fell neatly apart, revealing a pair of shinobi sandals? What the hell? Naruto groaned before stomping up to look at them. They were a deep royal blue color with black designs around the ankle that Naruto had to admit were pretty cool looking. Observe, he muttered. Custom Battle Sandals, blue, standard issue sandals used by all members of the Konohagakure Shinobi forces. This pair has been customized for training the tree climbing skill, granting an additional 10% EXP when practicing the exercise. Def plus 10 durability, 50-50, nice, but not what I was looking for. Naruto remarked as he picked them up and put them in his inventory. A note was lying on the floor. To the shinobi who defeated the fox squirrel, my compliments. You have passed the first hurdle, but do not become complacent. Many harder tasks await you in the other areas. If you wish to open the grand chest, you must gather not only the 5 keys currently in your possession, but the chakra pass from Area 6 to allow you entry to the room in which it is kept. I, and the chest, await you in Area 13. The Forest Lord. Who the hell is this Forest Lord guy? Naruto moaned, well, no use standing around like an idiot. On to the next area. With that, Naruto charged off to the exit of the area, leaving the note to fade into dust behind him. Outside Training Ground 13, this bites. Naruto grumbled. He was currently torn between glaring at the rusty gate that barred his way back into the training ground and the window floating in front of him. Warning. You can only enter any given field dungeon once per day. Training Ground 13 has doors between the various areas that allow you to move between them without exiting the dungeon, but you evidently didn't know about the other door. Your area map has been updated with the location of the inter-area door for when you try tomorrow. Good luck. How the hell is he supposed to know about these things if the damn windows don't tell him about them? Huffing in displeasure, Naruto decided to head back to Konoha and examine his spoils from today's loot. He did have quite a few, if you included raised skill levels into the equation. Closing the irritating window, Naruto began the trek back to his new home, mentally reviewing his performance in the forest today. He had to admit that his training had really helped him out. If he had tried this before he got his gamer ability, he would have had the snot kicked out of him by those damn squirrels. He still had to either get his hands on a wide area attack jutsu or make better use of his clones, as some of those fast-moving squirrels had come way too close to taking a bite out of him. As it was, he was surprised that his clothes were still intact from all of the scratches and bites he had suffered in the training grounds, but he supposed that was all a part of the whole gamer thing. He blinked as a new window appeared in front of him. You have discovered the skill, Gamer's Equipment. Gamer's Equipment, passive, LV Max. As the gamer, this skill links the condition of your clothing as being equal to the durability of each item, thus meaning you must wash, clean and repair them in order to maintain their durability. Someone is trying to make a point about my cleaning habits, aren't they? Naruto muttered under his breath. He made it back to his apartment without further incident and, after a cup ramen or two, settled down to read through the improved versions of his skills. Secondary Earth Affinity, passive, LV2, 12.97 EXP. Earth affinities are not uncommon in the elemental nations, although Ishi no Kuni and Tsuchi no Kuni are the ones who have more born there than any other country. Earth ninjutsu is seen as primarily an element of defense, but in the right hands one can make traps, launch counterattacks, and even alter the landscape itself. Strong against fire, water. Weak against lightning, wind. Passively decreases the chakra cost of Doton Jutsu by 2%. Passively increases the effectiveness of Doton Jutsu by 1%. Doton, IWA Bunshin no Jutsu, active, LV2, 5.19 EXP. The Earth Clone or Rock Clone technique is the most sturdy of the clone jutsu, save for the legendary Mokuton and its Moku Bunshin, requiring a solid hit in a critical location to destroy them. In addition, unlike the other elemental clones, if an IWA Bunshin is destroyed, it breaks into pieces of rock, which can be used for other Doton ninjutsu. IWA Bunshin can only use non-elemental or Doton ninjutsu and is almost as strong as the user. Hand signs, Ram Monkey Horse Ram when activated, the user spits out a rock, which is then shaped into a clone or clones of the user. The clones will follow the orders of its creator. IWA Bunshin have no mental stats and have the physical stats of the creator of them minus 20%. Minimum number that have to be created, 5 maximum number that can be created, 12 cost 74 CP/clone, Doton, Gensetsukan no Jutsu, active, LV2, 25.57 EXP, the Earth style, rock section Kane Jutsu is a fairly simple technique. After making the correct hand signs, the user should pick up a stone or rock, which transforms it into a 1.5 meter long staff, which can be used in close combat or thrown at the enemy. At high levels, the user can create multiple staves simultaneously and assail their enemies with them. Hand signs. Monkey rat snake number of staves created per use, 1 durability of each stave, 25 costs 35 CP per stave made. Shuriken Jutsu, passive/active, level 6, 31.01 EXP, Shuriken Jutsu is the art of thrown weapons. Any handheld bladed weapon that has thrown weapon in its description can be used with this skill. Shuriken, Senbon and Kunai are a few examples. Passively increases DX by 7%. Passively increases damage with thrown weapons by 10%. Actively increases accuracy of thrown weapons by 10%. Costs 5 CP to use. Beginner's Hokage style Taijutsu, passive/active, level 5, 0.45 EXP, the basic style of Taijutsu taught at the Konohagakure Shinobi Academy. Hokage style has no particular inclinations towards attack or defense, instead having the characteristic of being easy to learn. The beginner's set is basic punching, kicking and a few basic grapples. Passively increases STR by 7%. Passively increases DX by 7%. Passively increases STA by 8%. Phew, that's quite the improvement. Naruto mused aloud. If he kept up this kind of pace for the next 6 and a bit months, he'd kick Sasuke team around the ring like an unwanted stepchild. Turning his attention to the basic Fuinjutsu scroll, he removed it from his inventory and regarded it. He didn't know much about Fuinjutsu, except that the Nidaime Hokage had been an accomplished master of the art, as was the Sandaime. Both of them had been overshadowed by the prodigy that was Namikaze Minato, if what his Jiji had said about the Hiraishin was true. What better way to surpass his predecessors than to master the difficult art of Fuinjutsu beyond what they had mastered? You have acquired the basic Fuinjutsu scroll, do you wish to learn it? Y/N, damn right I do. Naruto muttered as he hit the Y button, only to be dumbfounded when a window popped up over the first instead of the scroll disintegrating. Requisite skill level not met. You cannot learn this skill at the moment as you do not have the requisite levels in one or more other skills that are needed. You must have LV10 in calligraphy before you can learn basic Fuinjutsu. You currently do not know calligraphy. Ah man. Naruto complained, how the heck do I learn that? Calligraphy? Who could guess that would be needed for Fuinjutsu? Pouting slightly, he made a note to keep a lookout for books on calligraphy when he went shopping after the academy and Sakurakin's tutoring session. Placing the scroll back into his inventory, he then took out the 2 crafting recipe scrolls. Deciding that since he actually had the materials for it, he'd have a closer look at the squirrel fur vest scroll first. Rather unsurprisingly, a window popped up as soon as he picked it up. Congratulations! You have acquired your first crafting recipe. When you defeat non-human enemies, you will occasionally get items such as fur, silk, bones and teeth as loot drops. Using a crafting recipe, you can combine these items into a usable piece of equipment that you can either use or sell. Depending on the level of craftsmanship of the finished item, a crafted item can be one of 5 categories. Common, easily found. Relatively easy to make. Uncommon, harder to make, but with better stats. Less common, but still not all that hard to find. Rare, much harder to make. Most items are forged from metal. Quite impressive stats. Hard to find. Legend items such as this are the kind that are only found once or twice in a lifetime. Their stats are equally impressive. Unique one-of-a-kind items. Once made, no other item such as this can be created. If a person finds this level of item more than once a lifetime, they are blessed beyond a doubt. In order to create an item, you must have the requisite materials in order to make it. This includes the materials that make up the bulk of the item, as well as any decoration materials or stitching materials. You also have to have the requisite skill level in the skill required to create it. For example, in order to create this item, the squirrel fur vest, you must have at least 1 extra-large cured squirrel fur, 10 cured squirrel furs, and 2 rolls of sewing thread, not to mention being at least LV10 in sewing. 04. Another skill requirement? Naruto grumbled, "Faye. I'm going to bed." After 3 hiccups in a row, Naruto was more than ready for bed, but a silver glow from the door leading to the roof caught his eye, so he opened it and peeked out through the doorway. Hovering in the middle of the air near the empty flower beds was a silver exclamation mark. What the heck? Naruto wondered, prompting another window to open. House Quests, your home, and the building it is in, is very much in a state of abandonment. By accepting the quests highlighted in silver, you can set about the business of restoring the place to habitability. To accept a house quest, merely walk up and tap the floating silver exclamation marks, read the window that pops up and then the "Why" button, just like any other quest. Unlike with regular quests, you do not earn EXP or Rio for completing these quests, merely having your home up to snuff is a reward in and of itself. Who knew? Naruto muttered, before wondering why this appeared only now. Did it have to do with him leveling up for the first time since gaining his new apartment? Shrugging, Naruto walked over and tapped the silver icon once, making a silvery window pop up. House Quest Alert. Green thumbs and blonde hair, your flower beds are empty. Go to the Yamanaka flower shop and purchase soil, compost and flower seeds, then set up your flower beds. Accept? Y/N, all in all, it was probably one of the simplest quests Naruto had received since he had acquired his gamer ability, so he accepted it before heading to bed. The next day at the end of academy classes, "Hey, Ino." Naruto called, stopping the Yamanaka heiress in her tracks. "What, Naruto?" she asked impatiently. "I have to help my parents at the shop now. That's why I want to speak to them." Naruto replied, "I have a couple of flower beds that I want to fill and the only place I know that sells the kind of soil and compost for flowers is your place." Huh. Ino looked at him with a raised eyebrow, "Didn't think you were the gardening type." "I did have one at my old place before someone ripped all the plants to pieces." Naruto grumbled, "Even my houseplants were destroyed." "Sucks to be you." Ino said with a hint of sympathy in her voice, "Fine, come with me. Daddy will want to speak to you about it." As Ino led Naruto out of the classroom, 2 pairs of eyes followed them, 1 pair of light lavender and 1 pair of emerald green. Both felt jealousy in their hearts, but the latter only felt a small twinge, while the former raged against the time that Sakura, and now Ino, were spending with the boy she liked. Naruto examined Ino with his observe skill and was surprised by what he found. Name, Yamanaka Ino class, Mindwalker Adept level, 8 next level, 46.90 title, Academy student, plus 25% EXP to LV10, age, 12 HP, 625/625 CP, 300/300 STR, 12/5, STA, 12/5, DX, 26/5, plus 5, INT, 27 WS, 25 LUK, 29 status, Uchiha fangirl, 25% to all EXP gain, 10% to teamwork, Yamanaka clan heiress, plus 30% effectiveness to all Yamanaka clan jutsu, fashionable, plus 20% to barter, and haggle skills, plus 25% bonus EXP to those skills as well. Green thumb, plus 50% effectiveness with gardening skill, plus 30% EXP. Bonus from gardening actions. Perks: strong-minded natural talent, mindwalker acrobatic herbalist flaws, vain fangirl daddy's girl malnourished. Yamanaka Ino is the heiress of the Yamanaka clan, famous for their skill with the mind arts. She is strong-willed and proud, to the point of arrogance on occasion, but is essentially a good person. She has much skill in her family's jutsu set, but squanders that talent as one of Sasuke-kun's fangirls. Her stats were far more balanced than Sakura's were, as she was obviously not close to being as smart as her frenemy was, but her physical skills were better. Especially the DX stat. Naruto guessed that the acrobatic perk had something to do with that. So, how was Forehead's tutoring yesterday? Ino asked out of the blue, jarring Naruto from his thoughts. Oh, it went well. Naruto replied, my brain hurt from all the information, but Sakura-kun's a good teacher. I'm gonna ace the damn exams this time round. After failing twice, I should think you would, the blonde girl snorted. I'm surprised you didn't try and steal the exam questions last time. Naruto looked at Ino in surprise. Why would I do that? If I don't earn a high-tie the right way, there's no point in wearing it. Ino looked at him out of the corner of her eye. We aren't training to be samurai, you know. To a shinobi, there's no such thing as fair play. We aren't shinobi yet. Naruto pointed out, the first time I tried to graduate early, a girl called Ichigaya Terumi got expelled from the shinobi program for doing that. Really? The purple-clad girl asked in surprise. Yup. Naruto nodded. She got caught by a chunin when she tried to enter the room where the exam papers were kept. I remember Gigi scolding her about it. I think she's back in civilian school right now. Ino looked thoughtful at this. It made sense to Naruto though. If the students had to cheat, it should be actually during the exam, when the chunin sensei could see and grade their stealthy information-gathering skills for themselves. You have deduced something important about the genin exams. You gain +1 WS. Ignoring the new window, Naruto saw that they were approaching the Yamanaka flower shop. The colorful facade had always made Naruto a little wistful for his lost garden and houseplants. At least now, he could actually do something about it. Daddy, cousin, I'm home. Ino called as she ran into the shop. Welcome home, Inakan, her mother greeted her. Yamanaka Saori was a beautiful woman in her late 20s/early 30s. Her long chestnut-colored hair was in a long ponytail similar to her daughter and she had a kind face. She stood up from behind the counter as her daughter entered and gave her a welcoming hug before looking at Naruto curiously. Naruto wants to talk to Daddy. Is he home? Ino asked her mother once she stepped back from the hug. He got called to the TNI department not long ago, but he shouldn't be there longer than a couple of hours. Saori said with an apologetic look at Naruto, I take it you wish to create a new flower bed? Why yeah, that how'd you know? Naruto was a bit unnerved by this prediction. I deal with houseplants and bouquets while Inoichi is in charge of outdoor plants. Saori explained, so Ino saying you needed him told me what it is that you came to get. She reached under the counter, picked up a sheet of paper, and handed it to Naruto. Here. Fill this out so Inoichi can look it over when he gets back. Sure. Naruto nodded, can I borrow a pen? Here. Ino gave him one, cousin, I'm gonna go and shower. I got all sweaty today at taijutsu practice. Although Saori nodded, a troubled expression flashed across her face briefly as Ino sauntered off into what Naruto presumed was the way to the family portion of the house. Pretending he hadn't seen it, Naruto started filling in the form, which required the length, breadth and depth of the flower bed in question, as well as the kinds of flowers and plants he would like to have in the flower bed. I hear that you've been helping out Sakura-kun. Saori remarked after a moment. Yeah. She's banned from dieting. Naruto replied, it actually surprises me that you let Ino get away with dieting, what with the Yamanaka clan being a shinobi clan. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Saori replied ruefully, Ino is a very stubborn girl. And is convinced that she needs to diet, even although her father and I have told her over and over again that she doesn't need to. With Sakura eating more, she'll get stronger soon. Naruto shrugged, she'll be able to train longer and improve faster. Ino'll soon see that she's in the wrong here when she gets beat by Sakura-kun then. You seem rather confident about that. Saori remarked, why is that? Simple logic. Naruto shrugged as he finished writing up the form. Ino only trains when she has to, here or at the academy, and she does only the bare minimum, at the academy anyway. I'm planning on getting Sakura-kun to spar with me and improve her taijutsu at some point, even if he had only just now decided on that, so Ino will lose if she keeps to her Sasuke-kun attraction plans. Technically, I should be angry that you're planning on making my little girl lose, but as this is in the name of a good cause, I'll let it slide. Saori said with a small smile, don't tell Inoichi though. Ino's his pride and joy and he hates the thought of her being beaten at anything. Beaten now, by someone who doesn't really want to hurt her, or beaten later, by someone who couldn't care less about whether she lives or dies? Naruto said with a shrug, if I were him, I'd choose the former rather than the latter. As would I. Saori replied, so what are you going to do now that you know Inoichi isn't going to be here for a while? I have to go to Higarashi's for something. Naruto replied, but I have my tutoring session with Sakura-kun first. See you later then. Saori nodded at him in farewell as he left. Waiting a moment, she then said, I take it you heard everything then, dear? An embarrassed Yamanaka Inoichi dropped the Totan no Jutsu, invisibility escape jutsu, from where he had been concealed in the corner of the shop during the entirety of the conversation between his wife and Naruto. How long did you know I was there for? He asked. The entire time. Saori replied casually as she examined her nails, I am a chakra sensor, you know. Inoichi winced at that. Saori had been one of Konoha's best chakra sensors before she semi-retired after getting pregnant with Ino. He should have realized that she would realize he was there. So then do you agree with Naruto-kun's assessment? Saori asked. I do, the Yamanaka clan head sighed, I hate to admit it, but he is right about which I should choose. I just hope my princess isn't too crushed at being beaten. She's far too much like the both of us to let a single loss make her give up. Saori said firmly, if anything, it might be just the right kind of shock to jar her out of this ridiculous diet obsession that she has. We'll just have to be patient and wait. Inoichi nodded before picking up the sheet of paper Naruto had filled up. I agree. Let's have a look here. Looks like he wants to use the old flower beds on top of the old ANBU HQ building. Most of the plants he's mentioned as being what he would like are ones that don't need a lot of attention or watering, so they'd be perfect for someone out on missions. Looks like he's serious about passing this time. Saori remarked. Looks like it. Inoichi said, I actually have everything he's asked for on hand, so I'll get it together and I'll go over to help him set everything up when he comes back. I'll take Ino as well, to help out. It's funny how she doesn't mind getting dirty and sweaty from gardening, yet loudly complains about getting sweaty from training. Saori shook her head in bemused amusement. Half an hour later during Naruto's study session with Sakura. Sakura kept giving Naruto sidelong glances as she helped him with his studying. What her parents had told her about the Uzumaki clan kept whirling in her mind. Could Naruto really be descended from Konoha's old allies? Sakura-kun? Do I have something on my face? Naruto interrupted her musings. Sakura jerked in surprise. Naruto was looking at her with a mix of confusion and concern, and she realized that she had been so lost in thought that she hadn't heard him talking to her. No, you haven't, she said with a shake of her head. Say Naruto, you told me yesterday that you and Hokage-sama are close? Yeah, we are. Naruto nodded. He came and visited me in the orphanage as far back as I can remember, and he set me up with my first apartment when the orphanage threw me out when I was 5. He takes me out for ramen every now and again, when he can get out from under his paperwork. He's one of only 3 people who give me birthday presents too. Sakura thought of the pile of presents that she received on her own birthdays and felt a bit ashamed. Has he ever mentioned your family? She asked softly. Just that I'm the last Uzumaki, though I don't know if they were a civilian clan or a shinobi clan. Naruto replied. Gigi said he'd tell me either when I became a genin or turned 15, whichever came first. This made the Pinkette frown a bit. Why would the leader of the village deliberately keep Naruto in the dark about his own heritage? It didn't make sense. A shinobi clan's history and heritage was integral to shaping the children as they grew up, ensuring that they were able to master whatever special skills and jutsu that the clan used, like the Nara clan's Kagemain no Jutsu or the Inuzuka clan's Ninken collaboration jutsu. He must have a good reason for it, she thought. Without knowing if that's true, I can't tell Naruto everything about the Uzumaki that my parents told me. But maybe a couple of tidbits can't hurt? I've read a bit about the Uzumaki, she said aloud. It isn't much, but I could tell you what I know if you'd like. The look on his face was one that shook her down to her soul. It was both intense and vulnerable, not an expression she had ever seen on him before. Please, was all he said, but had an edge of desperation, of longing that she had never associated with Naruto before now, which she scolded herself for. Obviously, an orphan who knew he was of a clan, but knew no details about said clan, would be hungry for information about them. The Uzumaki were an ally of the Senju clan since the founding of Konoha. She started, they were a shinobi clan, one who had 2 defining characteristics that I know of. First, they were famous for their loyalty, both to family and to allies. Second, they specialized in the art of fuinjutsu. I heard they were almost destroyed during the Second Great Shinobi War though. Naruto stared at her unblinking for a moment before he said quietly, "Thank you, Sakura-kun. This is the first information I've heard about my clan, other than the fact this spiral is the clan symbol." No problem. Sakura had to smile at the enthusiasm Naruto was showing for his heritage. Sakura-kun, what's the difference between shinobi clans and civilian clans? Her blonde-haired study partner asked with a thoughtful look on his face. You don't know? Sakura just barely stopped herself from gaping in astonishment at him. I know that shinobi clans have more chakra than civilians and that their bodies are stronger, but I don't know anything other than that. Naruto replied with a "What-can-you-do" shrug. Sakura sighed. His knowledge about the 4 Hokage rivaled her own, but his knowledge about other subjects was very much spotty. Shinobi clans have been shinobi for at least 200 years. Sakura explained, that's how long it takes at a minimum for succeeding generations to develop the enhanced chakra coils and musculature that makes them so much better in combat. Each succeeding generation has more chakra and is stronger as a result of using it. Granted, chakra is made of both physical energy and mental energy combined, but shinobi clans have been proven to produce children with more chakra than any civilian clan. Wow, you know a lot about this. Naruto remarked, a little in awe at her knowledge. I looked up this kind of thing last year. Sakura admitted with a small blush, the best treatise on this subject was by Tsunadesima of the Sannin. Anyway, that's the basic difference. So, because both your parents are civilians, you're at a disadvantage chakra-wise. Naruto frowned, that sucks. Otosan is a retired genin. Sakura corrected him, a civilian genin, I'll grant you, but I have slightly better reserves than the other civilian genin candidates. You'd have more if you brought your physical energy up in line with your mental energy though. Naruto pointed out. Naruto. Explain, now. Sakura ordered with narrowed eyes. No offense Sakura-kun, but I could outlast you in a taijutsu spar easily. Naruto stated frankly, that's because you are not physically fit enough. You rarely spar in taijutsu and you do the bare minimum in PE. Iruka sensei doesn't push the kunoichi candidates as hard as us guys. I guess he's just old-fashioned that way. Just because you can outlast me, doesn't mean you're better at taijutsu than me, Naruto. Sakura snapped, irritated that she was being underestimated. Cha. Like I'd lose to the dobe. Shinaro, her inner personality yelled, sticking her middle finger in Naruto's direction. Care to put your money where your mouth is, Sakura-kun? Naruto challenged with a smirk. Name your terms. Sakura shot back, her pride not letting her back down. First to knock the other down 3 times wins. Naruto said, no weapons, grapple holds or chakra tricks. No gouging or kicks below the belt. Sound fair? And the stakes? Sakura demanded. If I win, you have to let me help you get your taijutsu up to snuff. Naruto suggested. Fine. And if I win, you are paying for one of my shopping sprees. Sakura declared with a clenched fist as she scowled at Naruto. This made the blonde orphan flinch. Sakura and Ino were infamous for trying to outdo each other on their shopping sprees. The last person who had paid for one of the frenemies' shopping sprees had been left penniless by the time Ino had gotten finished with him. Just one more reason for me not to lose. You're on. Naruto stuck his hand out for Sakura to shake, which she did once to seal their deal. Where should we fight though? Sakura wondered, there's no room in here and I don't want to fight on concrete like out on the roof. Let me show you something, Sakura-kun. Naruto said impishly. He led her out of his room and down one floor. The room he led her to was a dojo, which was being cleaned up by a bunch of his IWA bunshin. Clones? Physical clones? Sakura gaped in astonishment. I have too much chakra to use the basic bunshin no jutsu. Naruto said sourly, that is the only, and I mean only, reason I haven't graduated in the last 2 years. They always choose the damned bunshin as the jutsu for the ninjutsu component of the test, so I keep failing. Not this year though. The rules allow any of the clone jutsu to be used so long as you can make at least 3 of them. With these IWA bunshin, I'm in the clear. Out of all the clone jutsu I've read about, the IWA bunshin take the most amount of chakra to create, and are also the most resilient, aside from Shoda Mesima's Moku bunshin no jutsu, would clone jutsu. Sakura thought in astonishment, and Naruto has 10 or 12 of them running around like I'd use the regular bunshin no jutsu. Shaking herself out of her stupefaction, Sakura examined the room. It was obviously in disuse, but the IWA bunshin had tidied the place up quite well. The mats needed replacing though. I'll have this ready tomorrow, so we'll fight then. Naruto told her, so be ready to lose Databayo. That's just what I was going to say to you. Sakura retorted. The two glared at each other before chuckling and heading back to Naruto's room to finish the study session. After the study session. Geez, there sure were a lot of messages. Today. Naruto grumbled as he looked at the virtual sea of windows that surrounded him, I'll just have to go through them one at a time. Status change. You change from, ? To, member of the Uzumaki clan. Clan knowledge added. Percent EXP to. Skill, changed to 15% EXP to, Fuinjutsu, skill. Clan knowledge added. Loyalty, perk added. Quest alert. The clan of Swirling Tides, thanks to Haruno Sakura, you have discovered information about your clan, the Uzumaki. The only person that knows everything about them is the Sandaime Hokage. Pass the genin exams in order to find out the rest of the information about your clan from him. Quest completion reward, information about the Uzumaki clan, plus 1500 EXP, plus 2 attribute points. Quest failure, death. Accept? Y/N, how the hell can I die from failing the genin exams? Naruto yelped. What was more worrying was the fact he couldn't refuse this quest. Death? For failing a basic exam? There had to be more to it than he was seeing. Resolving to solve the mystery of this quest later on, he pressed the Y button. Naruto turned his attention to the other windows. Quest alert. Tough love, you have challenged Haruno Sakura to a taijutsu match. Defeat her to improve her taijutsu and health. Quest completion reward, 50 reputation with Haruno Sakura, plus 150 EXP, plus 500 Ryo. Quest failure, 50 reputation with Haruno Sakura, a serious hit to your wallet. Accept? Y/N, why the heck does my relationship with Sakura-kun go down regardless of whether I win or lose? Naruto complained, then scowled as he read the window that popped up in answer. No path without stones. In life, there is rarely a path that is completely without problems. In this case, win or lose, you have a reduced reputation with Haruno Sakura. This is inevitable. In one path, you defeat her and she resents that. In the other, she defeats you and thinks you were bluffing about your abilities. In this case, you must balance the other points to see which path is better for you and her. That actually made sense. Naruto said aloud. It followed a rule that Naruto had discovered since the orphanage: life isn't fair. Resolved to his situation, Naruto hit the Y button. He would more than earn back the lost reputation from his studying sessions. You awed her with the number of clones. Plus 100 reputation with Haruno Sakura. You have had 2 study sessions with Haruno Sakura. Plus 1 INT and plus 1 WS. Finally. Naruto grumbled, now to the flower shop. Much to his surprise, when he reached the Yamanaka flower shop, he found Ino and her father waiting for him. Yamanaka-sama? Why were you and Ino-san waiting for me? He asked, warily eyeing the Yamanaka clan head. When he had started to say just Ino's first name without honorifics, Inoichi had sent a little bit of ki at him, resulting in his detect bloodthirst skill popping up. Hell, he even leveled the skill up because of that. Your order, duh. Ino had said with an eye roll, if you have the money on you right now, we can help you set things up at your house. How much? Naruto asked. Inoichi handed him an invoice for 30,000 Ryo. Naruto quickly scanned it and everything looked to be in order. Okay, he said simply and pulled out Gamakan. Fortunately for him, he'd found out how to pull money out of his gamer status screen just this morning, so he'd added a fair chunk of his winnings from the previous day to Gamakan. Combined with the compensation from the people who had wrecked his apartment twice, dropped off by Nekasan this morning, he could easily afford this. You gave him the clan rate, I see. Ino noted as she peered at the invoice in Naruto's hand. The Uzumaki are a clan, princess. Inoichi said in concern, haven't you been paying attention to your classes? Talk to Gigi about this, Inoike-sama. Naruto cut in, anyway, here you go. Naruto handed over a thick wad of cash to Inoichi, who counted it quickly before putting it in the till. Thank you for your business, he said professionally, making a mental note to talk to the Hokage about the oddity regarding his daughter not knowing about the Uzumaki clan. I have all of the supplies sealed in storage scrolls, so let's get to it. Leading the father and daughter combo back to his apartment building, he was completely unsurprised to see that Ino was just as underwhelmed as Sakura was about his new building. It beats living on the street, he said with a shrug as he beckoned them to follow him up the stairs. When they reached his apartment, he saw Ino giving his place a cursory look over, which made him really nervous for some reason. Ignoring this, he opened the door to the roof and showed his fellow blondes where they would be working. Looks like they moved everything perfectly when they changed HQs. Inoichi muttered as he gave the 2 long boxes a once-over. Do you know who used to live here, Daddy? Ino asked. This was the former ANBU HQ entrance building, Inosan. Naruto said dryly. Ino yelped, why the heck are you staying here then, Naruto? Gigi said anyone with balls big enough to break in here would have to be too stupid to live. Naruto shrugged, especially since a 2-person team of ANBU watched this place day and night. Ino shook her head and muttered something under her breath before Inoichi put her to work unsealing bags of soil and compost, while he unsealed shovels. Naruto offered to help out, but Inoichi politely refused and told him that it was better if professionals set it up initially, so if he had any chores to do, now would be the time to do it. Remembering that he had shopping to do, Naruto agreed and thanked the man for his kindness. Meh. Compared to ANBU TNI, this is a nice way to relax. Inoichi said dismissively, right, princess? Yup. Ino agreed. She was sorting the plants that they had brought with them in a practiced and brisk manner. You really do love plants. Naruto observed. Bemusedly. Flowers. Ino corrected him, I love flowers. Ignoring the fact you fangirled over a rare herb last week. Inoichi remarked casually, making his daughter flush in embarrassment. Daddy, she groaned. Naruto chuckled at that. Well, I'd better be off shopping. If you get hungry or thirsty, help yourselves to the food and drinks in my fridge. Thanks Naruto. Inoichi called as the boy bounced off the roof and into his apartment. How the heck does he have so much energy? Ino asked in disbelief. We've both been to the academy and he's had a study session with Forehead until just a little while ago on top of that. Uzumaki had so much chakra that it was very difficult to get them to sit still back when there was a full clan of them. Inoichi said with a smile, anyway, let's get to work. These flower beds aren't going to make themselves, you know. With Naruto with over 7 years of experience with the nasty attitudes of the shopkeepers of Konoha, it didn't really surprise Naruto to any great degree that he was once more being treated to glares as he entered the shopping district. He had, once or twice, used his Henge no Jutsu to purchase food and other essentials here, but the shopkeepers had somehow caught on to this plan and had seals placed in their doorways that dispelled any genjutsu on people that walked through their doors. He hadn't been caught by it only because he had seen an old woman's cosmetic genjutsu get dispelled. Naruto stopped suddenly. From what he had read in his skill window, his own version of the Henge no Jutsu wasn't a mere illusion, but an actual physical transformation. He quickly dodged into an alley and brought the skill window for the Henge no Jutsu up. Sure enough, his jutsu was for some reason different from the regular Henge. Go figure that one. Quickly transforming into Irika, Naruto proceeded to walk casually into a nearby bookshop and silently rejoiced when his transformation didn't so much as flicker. Looking around the signs in the shop, he quickly located a book on sewing and smirked as the window asking if he wanted to learn it popped up. Moving on, he found a book on beginner's calligraphy. When the window popped up, he had a look around for any others that might be useful. A cookbook? Would that work? Naruto wondered. Deciding that it couldn't hurt to try, he located a basic cookbook, with simple recipes that a newbie at cooking could likely make without burning them. Probably. As the window popped up, he added it to his pile of books. Ah, Irikasen, the cashier greeted him with a smile, more books on the basics is it? A solid foundation is a necessity for both shinobi skills and other pursuits. Naruto replied in Irika's voice. That old refrain again. The man rolled his eyes, evidently familiar with Irika's truisms. That'll be 1,000 ryo. Naruto paid for the books and decided to head to Higarashi's. That Tonto had been bugging him ever since he'd gotten it. As soon as he could, Naruto slipped into an alley and dispelled his henge. Picking up the cookbook, he smiled as he read the window. You have acquired the 101 Recipes for Beginners book, do you wish to learn this? Y/N, hell yeah. Naruto hit the Y button, no more malnourished flaw for me. Cooking, passive, LV2, 3.10 EXP, one of the oldest skill sets in human history. Cooking is something that all people do at some point in their life, even if it is merely adding water to instant ramen. Passively adds 20% to the success ratio of all cooking actions. Passively reduces food wasted during preparation by 3%. Passively reduces chance of a food accident during preparation by 5%. Adds a further 5% bonus to all of the above if the meal being prepared is from your recipe book. Requires cooking tools to use. Current cooking rank, raw amateur. Nice. Naruto grinned. Next. Sewing. You have acquired the Stitch in Time book, do you wish to learn this? Y/N, yep, was all he said as he eagerly awaited the next screen popping up after hitting Y. Sewing, passive, LV1, Midnight EXP. Sewing is a basic skill taken up by housewives and bachelors all over the world. Darning socks, stitching seams and sewing on patches all fall under this skill. Requires sewing tools and thread to use. Passively reduces wasted thread by 1%. Passively increases the quality of all sewing actions by 5%. Passively raises DX by 1%. Current rank, Bloody Needle, Bloody Needle? Naruto muttered with a tick mark on his forehead, I am not that clumsy. Scowling at the insinuation that he had such low DX that he would poke himself with a needle, Naruto moved on to the last book. You have acquired the One Stroke, One Love book, do you wish to learn this? Y/N, let's see what this looks like. Naruto muttered as he mashed the Y button. Calligraphy, passive, LV1, Midnight, calligraphy, or shodo, is the way of artistic writing. Often seen as merely being that, the eye of a shinobi can see the true potential of calligraphy. Requires, calligraphy brush, and calligraphy ink, to use. Passively reduces failure ratio of all calligraphy actions by 7%. Passively reduces the amount of wasted ink by 5%. Passively increases success ratio of all calligraphy actions by 5%. At this rate, I'm not going to have the time for any pranks, 'cause I'll be too busy studying. Naruto grumbled, tch. Ah well. The things I have to do to become Hokage. Shrugging philosophically, he set out towards Higarashi's, not noticing the masked figure who was following him. With Tenten Higurashi residence, Higurashi Tenten was not best pleased with her father at this particular moment. This wasn't exactly an unheard of occurrence, as her father, though she loved him dearly, had this annoying tendency to somehow get into trouble whenever he set foot outside Konohagakure. Take his current appearance for example. He was dressed up like a pirate. A long black coat with golden filigree, a long sash wrapped around his waist and an odd tricorn hat atop his head. So, Tenten said with a forced calm, do I really want to know how you ended up dressed like this? Her father, a veritable mountain of muscle, flinched away from his adopted daughter's steely gray glare as if she had brandished a whip at him. Now Tenten, he said pleadingly, this isn't what it looks like. Oh? So you did not in fact get roaring drunk on your way back to the village and dress up as a pirate as you are now? Tenten growled with a glower, how Kazan lost track of you, I'll never know. I'd like an answer to that question as well. Higurashi Kane said as she joined her daughter. Kane was a slender woman, with long black hair reaching down to her waist. Her smoky onyx eyes boring into her husband as she spoke. Tatsuhiko was a mountain of a man, his arms rippling with muscle from his blacksmithing work. His close-cropped brown hair was kept that way to avoid any accidents in the forge, and his warm brown eyes were very expressive. Right now, for example, they had a slight quiver of fear in them. Ah, now dear, he said nervously. Anata, we discussed this before. Kane stated coolly, your bad habit of getting drunk and then doing something embarrassing when you leave Konoha is getting to the point of ridiculousness now. I mean, a pirate costume? I honestly can't remember where I got it. Tatsuhiko admitted. Now, what are you going to do? Kane asked patiently. Take the costume off and go sober up, he recited dully. Yes, you are. Tenten said with an eye roll, next time Kazan can go get the ore. She knows what to look for just as well as you do. I'm heading back to the shop floor. I still have to finish polishing the kodachi. She turned and walked off before remembering something. Oh, Oyaji. You've got an order to finish off as well. Uzumaki Naruto bought the storm suit and wants the shoulder plate engraved with his clan symbol. The plate's in your workshop. With that, she sauntered off. The Uzumaki bought the storm suit? Tatsuhiko asked in bemusement. There was only ever one Uzumaki in Konoha, so anybody who wasn't a bigoted asshole who thought that he was the Kyuubi referred to Naruto as the Uzumaki, like his mother before him. Looks like he's finally getting serious about graduating. Kane said softly. Belike. Tatsuhiko agreed, he also has good taste. That outfit should last him a good long while as he grows into it, and when he grows out of it, there'll probably be a good piece to replace it. The sudden wordless roar of anger from their daughter made the two adults look at each other in surprise. Only one thing made Tenten as angry as she currently sounded, so the question had to be asked. Who had been stupid enough to destroy one of the weapons she had forged? With Naruto, a few minutes previously. Fortunately enough for Naruto, Higarashi's was still open. Double-checking that the broken tanto was in the pocket of his trousers, he then advanced into the shop. Tenten was just sitting down as he entered. Hey Naruto, she said when she spotted him, need more clothes? Nope. Not yet at least. Naruto replied, I actually found a broken weapon in a training ground and I was wondering if it was reparable. Oh? Let's have a look then. Tenten leaned forward in curiosity, if I can't fix it, then Oyaji can. Naruto drew the tanto from his pocket and laid it down on the desk. Tenten took one look at it before an expression of pure rage came over her face and she reached over to grab Naruto by the collar. Where did you find it? She demanded, shaking her quarry violently. Where? Tenchan, I think you might want to let him go before you choke him to death, a female voice suggested in amusement as Higurashi Kane stepped out of the family portion of the building. Tenten looked at her mother in confusion before looking at Naruto properly. He was turning red at the solid grip she had on his neck. With an eep of embarrassment, the bun-haired girl dropped him and started fussing over the blonde shinobi in training as he started to gulp in air. I almost went over the Sanzan rivers. Naruto muttered, remind me to train myself into the ground before I ever spar with you, Tenten. Her Jonin sensei would be appreciative of your compliments to her physical strength. Kane chuckled, I'm Tenten's mother, Kane. What was it that made Tenchan so angry? Just as I thought. I take it you know the blade? Naruto asked sarcastically as he massaged his neck. This is Toradora, a tanto that I forged just before I took the genin exams last year. Tenten explained, where did you find it and what the hell's happened to it? In training ground 13 and I have no idea. Naruto replied honestly, if I had to guess though, I'd say it was hit by a hammer of some kind. Kane picked the blade up and examined it. Yes, I'd agree. If not a hammer then an immense blow with some other kind of blunt object. Wait, training ground 13? Tenten looked at Naruto in confusion, isn't that place closed for chakra saturation? Gigi let me in, to the first 3 areas at least. Naruto replied, I found that in the first area. Had to kill 3 mutated gray squirrels and 2 red ones to get it. Wow. Tenten said, then regarded Toradora with a frown, how the hell did my baby get there though? Isaka-san was in Team 14, the next ground over. Who? Naruto asked. Isaka Taiga. Kane replied, the genin who bought the blade, along with its mate, Koryu, Tiger Dragon. Isn't that just another way of saying Toradora? Naruto asked after a moment. It is, but that was what Isaka-san named the blades after cutting her palms with them. Tenten replied. Noting the confusion on Naruto's face, she added, sword lore. Shinobi and samurai, if they're masters of their craft, name their blades after the first time they draw blood with them. Ah. Naruto nodded, so what should I do here? Should I return it to Isaka-san since it's hers? After she broke it and abandoned it like this? No. Tenten said sharply as she cradled the broken weapon as if it was her firstborn. An acceptable compromise would be for you to inform Isaka-san that the blade has been found and that Tenchan is fixing it. Kane interjected diplomatically, should she wish to retrieve it, she must come here in 3 days and explain why she broke it and abandoned it to Tenchan. Air.O.K. Naruto said carefully, so where can I find Isaka-san? She got married 2 months ago, so she moved out of the Isaka family compound. Kane said as she strained to recall details, her new husband is Takasuo Ruji, if I'm remembering correctly. One of her teammates. Oh yeah. That's why she bought 2 Tonto. Tenten remembered, one was for her, one was for her boyfriend. She planned to use Toradora, he was to get Koryu. Are they still genin? Naruto asked. No, Isaka-san was promoted just after she got the Tonto. Kane replied, Ryuji-san was promoted during the last Chunin exams. That was when he proposed to her. I'll wander over to their training field tomorrow and give your message. Naruto nodded, I'd better get home. Yamanaka and Oikasama and Ino are fixing me up a pair of flower beds. You like gardening? Tenten asked in surprise, you don't seem the type. It's my way of relaxing. Naruto shrugged, Gigi does calligraphy for the same reason. Gigi? Tenten asked in confusion. Hokage Gigi. Naruto replied before he headed out the door. The bun-haired girl gaped after him. He calls Hokage-sama Gigi? From what I hear, the Hokage is his legal guardian. Kane told her daughter softly, I would guess that they've developed a relationship similar to grandfather and grandson, especially since Hokage-sama is the closest thing to family Naruto-kun has. Tenten looked sad then, which was swiftly followed by confusion. Why hasn't anybody adopted him though, she asked, I mean, he seems like a pretty nice kid. A bit informal, but still. Kane sighed. Sadly, some people are just full of spite. Let's leave it at that for now. You should start on fixing Toradora if you want to make the D-Day deadline. Arg! Tenten half screamed, that's right. My poor baby. Don't worry, Kazan's going to fix you up as good as new or better. Kane knew she should be slightly concerned at her daughter cooing at a Tonto like it was alive, but she was used to it from her husband, which was who Tenten had learned her love of forging weapons from. Oh. Looks like Tenten's going to monopolize the forge. Tatsuhiko drawled as he tromped out into the shop proper, what's the deal? Well. Kane started to explain the situation to her husband as Tenten bolted off to the forge, muttering under her breath about alloys, seals and forging techniques as she did. So. Back at Naruto's apartment, wow. Naruto said as he saw all of the plants in the flower beds. Otaniwatari, bird's nest ferns, some small bambusa, butterfly bush. There were so many plants that he didn't know where to start. I'll say. Ino huffed, look after them, Naruto. Or else. That's the plan. Naruto replied. I've left guides on how to look after them all on your dining table. Inoichi informed him, when you graduate, let me know when your team is going to be on a crank or above mission and I'll come in while you're away to look after them, 1,000 Ryo per mission. Much appreciated, Inoue-sama. Naruto bowed slightly, here, for the trouble. As a tip, 3,000 Ryo wasn't much, but it was the largest amount most people would expect an orphan living off of a stipend to tip someone. My thanks. Inoichi nodded, we'd better head back now. If you have any questions about the plants, feel free to ask Ino or myself. Both of yous have full knowledge of the ones we planted for you. Bidding Naruto farewell, the two Yamanaka left his apartment, looking tired. Observe, Naruto whispered as he looked at Ino, just as she exited the door, bringing up her status window. Let's see. Naruto muttered, this one looks interesting. Strong-minded, passive, you have a strong sense of self and hold strong opinions about the subjects you are passionate about. This does come with the unfortunate side effect of being slow to change your opinions about something except in the face of overwhelming evidence that disproves your own opinion. Passively grants a 15% bonus to the success ratio of any Mindwalker skill. Passively grants the user a 5% bonus to the debate skill when discussing something you are passionate about. Reduces the likelihood of changing your opinion regarding something you are passionate about by 10%, unless the opposing evidence is 70% or more against your opinion. This perk cannot be removed as it is a great part of who you are. Yep. Ino to a T. Naruto had to sweat drop at how scarily accurate this ability of his was. Natural talent, Mindwalker, passive, you have a natural flair for using the jutsu of the Yamanaka clan. Walking through the memories of your opponents, manipulating their bodies and even passively reading their minds all come easily to you. Passively adds 20% to the success ratio of all Mindwalker jutsu. Passively adds 10% to the effectiveness of all Mindwalker jutsu. Due to your understanding of the human mind, you add 5% to the success ratio of all Persuade, Intimidate, Charm, and Seduce actions. This perk can only be lost by losing the ability to use chakra, in which case it becomes the Counselor perk. Okay, I am not letting Ino use any of her jutsu on me. Naruto swore as he read the description. Acrobatic, passive, you possess a naturally flexible and lithe physique, allowing you to jump and cavort with the greatest of ease. Passively adds a permanent increase of 5 to your DX. Passively adds 1% to your DX. Passively increases the success ratio of any action that uses DX by 5%. This perk can be lost by not exercising and gaining too much weight. Like Little Miss Diet would ever let herself gain weight. Naruto muttered scornfully. Herbalist, passive, you have a wide knowledge of all plants and can tell at a glance what one is and if it has any medicinal or pharmacopoeial use. Passively increases EXP gain from gardening actions by 50%. Passively increases amount of plants gathered by 10%. Passively reduces herbs wasted when making medicine by 15%. Passively reduces plants wasted during poison making by 15%. This perk can be lost by getting a concussion and amnesia. Wow, did I guess she really does love plants, was all he could say to that. Looks like they teach her more than just basic gardening at the flower shop. Vain, passive, you are highly proud about your appearance and how attractive you are to others. The thought of someone not being attracted to you hasn't occurred to you. You are obsessive about keeping yourself looking your best at all times, even unto the detriment of your teamwork and physical abilities. Reduces teamwork by 15%. Reduces increases to physical stats by 10%. Adds 20 to seduction and charm skills. This flaw can be lost by realizing that physical appearances mean nothing if you are too weak to stay alive as a shinobi. Damn, this'll be a hard one to get her to ditch. Naruto muttered. He ignored malnourished and fangirl, as he knew what those did. Daddy's girl, passive, You are the pride and joy of your parents, especially your father, and thus have been relatively sheltered and pampered your entire life. You are only dimly aware of the grim reality of the world and tend to disbelieve some of the more extreme cases of cruelty that can be in the world. This flaw can be lost by coming face-to-face with how cruel and unforgiving the world can be. Sodata coddled, spoiled little princess. Naruto deadpanned, great. Naruto was, rather contrary to what his detractors said about him, a very friendly person, as well as a rather kind one. The idea of one of his classmates dying because of a stupid little flaw that he knew exactly how to remove was repugnant to him. How the heck can I help her out? I have my hands full with Sakurakin already, the boy sighed, before shrugging, meh. I'll think about it later. To the training ground. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Guys, make sure to help the author by visiting the link in the description. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.